Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, December 27th, 2022, and we get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time, 8 o'clock Central, to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and to support each of you. As we wind down the month of December and the year of 2022, we're getting prepared for some exciting announcements as we go into the new year, 2023. One of which we are officially rolling out today. We did a bit of a soft announcement yesterday regarding some targeted community engagement initiatives. In subsequent trainings this week, we'll be covering some other topics, one of which is we have received permission to continue to defer the license fee for white label partners. So we have two types of distribution partners. We have affiliates and we have white label partners. White label partners do more, but they make more. There is a $10,000 license fee to become a white label partner, but in the past, the recent past, we've been deferring that, and they have decided to continue to defer that for new white label partners. But we'll talk about that more in a separate training. Today, let's really roll up our sleeves and learn more about these community engagement initiatives. We'll talk about what they are and why they're important, and maybe most importantly, how you can plug in, if you wish, to be able to help more small businesses and earn more income. So those are our goals for today. At any time, if you have questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and type it into the Q&A, the question and answer box of Zoom. I think it was March 21st, but don't hold me to that we had applied for this grant, and we just recently received it to start in 2023, to start here in just a week or so. So our grant is, the application was, and it has been approved, to be able to assist targeted entrepreneurs. And we're obviously looking for your help in creating awareness. You don't need to sell anything to anyone. Obviously, you don't need to pay anything, but it is an opportunity for you to help more and get paid more. So the first thing that we should understand is that in the grant application, we became very aggressive, and we had the opportunity to select from any of these 11 categories, and we decided to go ahead and submit the application, and were approved for all 11 categories. Some of these categories are pretty clear. Others have some room for definition around them. The nice thing about the grant award is it allows us to form, it requires us to form a committee that's focused on each of these 11. So we're going to be forming 11 committees, one committee for each population-based initiative. We are looking for a chair, a committee chair of each of these areas. And so if you're interested in leading this specific targeted population-based initiative, let us know. Part of the work of that committee will, of course, be to get the word out. You'll be paid for that. But also, in some cases, it's going to be to further define the criteria. Because, for instance, Kyle already is asking, well, what's the criteria? And that's partially what each committee will decide. So, for example, on the first population-based initiative, we have some flexibility in how we want to define a rural business. Is it where it's formed? Is it where it operates? Is it based upon the population of the zip code, of the city, of the county, of the metropolitan area? We have some flexibility under the grant. So once we have a chair identified for the rural business community engagement initiative, we'll be working on that. So again, if you're passionate or interested in rural-based businesses, that's something that you could plug into. The second category that we received the grant funding for is low to moderate income households. You might say, well, Tom, that doesn't make sense. We're talking about small businesses. Well, of course, businesses are owned by people, one or more people. And so those people could come from low to moderate income households. So that's why that makes sense. We have the third targeted entrepreneurial group are Asian Pacific Islander owned businesses. Fourth is Black owned businesses. And there is what's called the one drop rule that's part of the grant. So does someone have to be 100% African American to qualify for number 4? No. Okay, do they have to be at least 50% African American? No, it's considered the one drop rule. So if they have any ancestry, for instance, in number 3 that's Asian Pacific, or number 4 African American, then they qualify. So it's not saying that you have to be 100% Asian Pacific Islander for number 3. You don't have to be 100% African American for number 4. Hopefully that makes sense. Fifth group would be entrepreneurs with a disability. Sixth is Hispanic. And so again, for any of the racial categories, it is not a requirement that they be 100% of that race. The truth is there's not going to be any verification just out of privacy. So someone could come to us and say they want to participate in the Hispanic owned business category, and they would be admitted. We're going to operate off the honor system, the trust system. But moving forward, then we have the LGBTQIA plus owned businesses. And so, of course, we have some. I was talking to an optometrist on Sunday. And so she is Hispanic, she's a lesbian, and she's a first-time business owner. So she actually fits into a number of categories, and that's fine. We will have separate committees for each of these initiatives, but we understand that there's some individuals that'll fit into multiple categories. For example, just this morning, I was talking to a nurse that's looking at starting a business. And the nurse has a small amount of Native American and a small amount of African American, and then the rest is Anglo. Well, that's fine. He could jump into any of those categories. He's also a veteran, which we'll get to in a moment. So Native-owned businesses would be another category. Startup businesses, veteran-owned businesses, and woman or women-owned businesses. So these are the 11 areas that we were selected for this community engagement initiative. What does it mean to you? Well, if you want to chair any of these committees, that's what we're looking for first as a leader. So you would email us and let us know. We would recommend that you not chair more than one, so you don't bite off more than you can chew. But if you'd like to be the leader of one of these initiatives, that would be awesome. And it doesn't cost anything to be the chair, of course, you'll get paid for that. And then we'll be working together to roll out to that targeted audience through press releases and other activities. So what we're doing is, and you'll see here in the bottom when I scroll down what all the grant includes, but it starts with the foundation of the Access to Capital program that we're all familiar with. So the basis is we're going to enroll clients into the Access to Capital. That is no different. There are some other perks that will show that's coming through the community engagement grant. So the process of enrolling clients will be the same. If you're an affiliate, use your landing page. If you're a white label partner, use your own paper. All right, so let's dig into what it is that is covered under the community engagement grant. And it's a pretty big deal. So participants will receive, and I'll start with the bottom. So we're obviously enrolling them in the Access to Capital, as I mentioned before. So any participant of any of these 11 groups will be guaranteed in writing a minimum of $100,000 to start or grow a business. So that's of course consistent with what we've been doing. What the grant is covering is now the following. If they do not have a unique commercial address, then that is provided for free. Let's talk about that for a moment. So what is it that you and I do as technical advisors? Well, we help build financial literacy so small business owners can see themselves and their businesses through the lenses of lenders in terms of what they need to know and how they need to present themselves to look credible for funding. Secondly, we help them build lender compliant loan packages, which we'll talk more about on the next bullet. And then also we help them become credible enough to get funding, because it doesn't matter. You can't just raise your hand and say, oh, I want 100,000. You have to qualify for it, right? And so what you and I do as technical advisors is help these individuals qualify for it. So there are different types of criteria for different types of funding sources, but one area that we commonly see many businesses is they operate from a residential address, and that doesn't look credible, and that can be a deal breaker for some types of funding. So with that being said, if they need this, we're going to provide it to them for free. In the past, they had to pay for that. But we applied for, we received the community engagement grant. So instead of these individuals needing to pay this, they don't have to pay for it. They get it for free. So that's the first element of benefit to the participants through the community engagement grant. That alone, I know, is not a real big deal. I understand that, but it's the first step, because if they don't have a foundation, strong foundation to their business where they look credible, you and I are fooling, and you know better than this, but just generically speaking, you and I are foolish if we think that a business that's based out of their home, a residential based business, looks as credible as one that has a true unique commercial address. They don't. They don't. And so when they're trying to go borrow lots and lots of money as a quote unquote home-based business, that is a barrier. It's a credibility barrier. Does that mean people can't work from home? Of course not. We're not talking about where people work from home. They could be sitting in their PJs in the back bedroom working on their laptop. It's not about that. Instead, it's about how does the business look? Does the business look credible? So maybe you appreciate this, maybe you don't, but it's a big deal, and it's part of what's provided through the community engagement grant. Now, as normally provided through the access to capital, we will, under the community engagement grant, help them build out their business plan and financial projections and financial statements and so forth. And so that's a normal perk or benefit of the access to capital program granted. But that's a big deal, because let's talk about why. I think it's always important not just to talk about the what, but the why. Well, why is a loan package important? Well, but that's what lenders expect to see. They need to see that the business, they need to understand about the business as it is, how the business projects it will look in the future in terms of profitability, and have enough credibility that the lender feels confident in lending tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars or more. So again, we can't fool ourselves to think that these things don't matter. These are the common reasons why small businesses don't get funded. That's the power of what you and I do, is we can take people and move them from being not credible on paper. I don't mean as a person, no personal attacks, but if they and their business don't look credible on paper, they're probably not going to get funded. So what is it that you and I do? We help them become credible enough to get funded. And we're talking about some of the key tools and resources that in the past people had to pay for, but now we've received the community engagement grant. So do they have to pay for the unique commercial address? No, not any longer. Do they have to pay for the loan package? No. Let's move on to the next bullet. This is huge, and we'll talk about the what, and then we'll get to the why. So what you and I know, or what we should know, is that when it comes to funding, it often comes down to what's called the 3 C's. What are the 3 C's? Credit, personal and business; capacity, which is sometimes called cash flow; and collateral. That's if you went and took a small business finance class, you'd be learning about the 3 C's and the importance of it. Well, the problem that you and I often see are we have clients that often don't have the 3 C's. They're not credible enough. So do they want funding? Sure. Should they get funding? Of course, everyone should. But do they qualify for funding? In many cases, they don't. Well, what's keeping them from it? Often, it's either they don't have the documentation, which we just talked about, or they're missing one or more of the 3 C's. This community engagement grant allows you and I to provide them the 3 C's. So collateral is one of the C's. Collateral are assets that are pledged to the lender that in case of default that the lender could take for repayment. And so many of our clients that come to us have what's called a collateral shortfall. So they want to go borrow, we'll just use round numbers. They want to borrow $100,000. So then we ask, okay, what do you have to pledge for collateral for that? Because the lender wants collateral in most cases. And often they don't have enough, so they have what's called a collateral shortfall. The community engagement grant is now providing that for free. This is $100,000 value, and I'll defend that because that sounds like a really big number, and sometimes people see big numbers and they want to dismiss it. So what we'll literally do is transfer $100,000 of real assets over to their balance sheet. And of course, if they need help creating the balance sheet, we'll help them do that as well. That was referenced here. So this provides the collateral for the funding. It's one of the 3 C's. It's one of the biggest reasons that we see that people can't get approved is they lack collateral. You and I can fix that now. And so they're literally getting $100,000 of receivables. Now we'll turn around and help them collect off those receivables as well, because nothing that you and I do is going to be gray or fuzzy, nothing that's going to get you or I in trouble or the client. So these are real assets, real income producing assets. Huge deal, huge deal. And we've had so many of you in the past ask, couldn't we just provide the collateral support program differently so it wasn't a financial barrier to our clients? You got it. Here it is. All right, so we talked about the 3 C's, and one of which, above and beyond that, is having a commercial address, which of course starts with a C. But we talked about credit, which we're going to go through now. We've talked about capacity, cash flow, and we talked about collateral. So let's go back and talk about credit. Well, there's 2 types of credit, isn't there? There's personal credit and business credit. Automatically, we help them build their business credit. Automatically, we're helping them build their Dun & Bradstreet profile to get at least an 80 paydex score. That's part of the Access to Capital program. That hasn't changed. What we're seeing, though, is that there are some individuals that their personal credit is a barrier. They don't look credible. And so we always want to go back and say, well, why? Why? Because we discussed why a commercial address is more credible than a residential. We've talked about why collateral is relevant to the lender. Because remember, it really doesn't matter, forgive me for saying this, what you think. And it really doesn't matter what I think. What matters is what the lender thinks. Because if we meet the lender's criteria, then the client gets funded. So you and I could make some emotional plea that the system isn't right, but it doesn't matter. The system is the system. So we want to know the rules, we want to follow the rules, but we want to leverage the rules. And so never want to break the rules. So with the collateral support program, that's what we're doing. In Credit Suite, the same. So you might have some clients that their personal credit is subpar. They look risky. And again, why? Why does that matter? Well, for a small business, even though we're focused on business funding, and whenever possible, we want to separate the business from the business owner, of course, but it's inaccurate to think that many lenders won't also assume that if the individual owner hasn't taken care of his or her finances, that they'll probably do something similar with the business. So short of the story is, instead of them paying the nearly $1,000 for the Credit Suite, we are able, under the community engagement grant, to provide that so we can block applicable derogatory items. Powerful, right? So we're identifying the main barriers that keep small businesses from getting funding and providing the providing them the resources and tools. Now, what's not on here of the 3 C's is capacity, cash flow. I think you all are familiar. We have the opportunity fund. So if they need extra cash flow, we can set it up where they're getting, it's budgeted $250 a day into their business bank account. It's not a real big deal, but it's not debt. It's not money that has to be paid back. So with the opportunity fund, which isn't listed here, that puts right at $1,750 a week, $6,000 to $7,000 a month into their business account. So their financials look stronger. They have some working capital, but that's not listed here. So what's in it for you? Well, we discussed, I should say, at the beginning of the webinar today, there are 2 types of roles. You could either be a white label partner and or an affiliate. Here, I'll address it from an affiliate perspective. As an affiliate, it's great, right? You get a free website, which you probably already have. If not, you can go get it. And you get a grant stipend, $250 each time you refer someone into these 11-based initiatives. The method of submitting is the same. You're going to send them to the free website that we provide you. And then they come in, and then we'll work with them to identify which of these they may qualify for. So can you market based upon these population-based initiatives? Yes, but you don't need to verify or categorize the individual. The way you bring them in will look the same, bringing them to your free landing page. What we need are leaders. We're looking for a chair for each of these committees. And here's what's in it for you as a chair. So we'll take Frankie, for example. Let's say Frankie wants to, or she's considering leading our woman-owned businesses. So Frankie could be the chair of this committee. And then that puts her in a leadership role. So she is helping orchestrate how we're going to reach out to women-owned businesses across the country. And then we'll be building a committee under her. So we don't want Frankie to be going alone. So you have a chair and then you have the full committee. And so then Frankie will be paid for that. And so if any of you are interested in running any one of these individual committees, what you want to do is let us know so we can get you plugged in. There's no cost, of course, and there's really no fine print. It's just according to the grant requirements, we need to have a committee focused on each of these. And the committee can meet just once a month. It doesn't have to be real time consuming. Now, let's say you don't want to be the committee chair, you don't want to be on the committee, you just want to go help people and make some money, and that's fine. So as an affiliate, you have a free website, you can go out and market it, you can make reference to the grant we receive, the community engagement grant, you can do targeting to any of these individuals. So no one is restricted from helping small businesses, but there's going to be a committee chair and a committee that's focused on setting the strategy and the tactics related to that. So this is great for everyone, right? So even if you don't want to be the chair, you don't want to be on a committee, now you have more talking points, more reasons to reach out. I was talking to one of you yesterday, and I will mention what he's doing. And he's in Houston, Texas. And so you may like this, you may dislike it, but we've got about 200 new clients coming on already from him in Houston. What's he doing? He is tracking, which is public information, newly formed DBAs, sometimes called assumed names. So assumed names, DBAs, are filed through counties, whereby when you form an LLC, a C Corp, or S Corp, it comes through the Secretary of the State. So his focus is, and it's already a resounding success right out of the gate, is reaching out to newly formed DBAs and assumed companies that form DBAs or assumed names. Those mean one and the same. So in other words, they're in the least sophisticated role of corporate formation. And so what we're doing with them is getting them plugged into the access to capital. We're helping them get their business entity set up. We're helping provide this package. And so again, within 48 hours, we have a pipeline already of 200 small businesses. So in general, in business development, I know what you and I do is help people, but in general with business development, the more targeted your audience is, the more effective you'll be, because you can communicate with them that makes it more relevant to them. So they stand up and pay more attention. So targeting rural businesses or entrepreneurs with a disability in any of the race-based areas, these are outstanding ways to go. So what do you need to do? Well, ask any questions that you have. But if you are interested in chairing any of these committees, let us know. Our contact information hasn't changed. If you don't want that involvement, that's fine. If you are an affiliate or a white label partner, you can continue to promote as you've promoted, but now you have some new talking points that you can feature regarding the community engagement initiative and grant. All right, JC's asking about the bilingual team. And so we will be creating a bilingual committee for the Hispanic owned businesses. I don't know that we plan to have bilingual for any other than Spanish at this time. So we definitely will want a bilingual chair for the Hispanic committee. Collis is asking about how the chairs are paid, and that's a great question. So the chairs of the committees are paid two ways. The normal first way is, of course, the $250 a pop, right? So we put together the plan, Collis, and I don't know which one you're interested in. Let's say, Collis, you're interested in the gay and lesbian owned businesses. So Collis, you become the chair of that. And then we're developing the plan together, executing the plan. Anyone that's coming in directly from your involvement, the committee's involvement, of course, you make the $250 a pop. If you're an affiliate, a lot more than that if you're a white label partner. And then also you receive overrides from all the small businesses enrolled. So part of the goal setting for the chair of each of these committees will to identify monthly goals. So, for example, for the startup business, we anticipate 1,000 enrollments per month starting in January. That number will vary by these different categories, but that's part of what the chair committee needs to identify. So if we do the math, let me pull up my iPhone calculator here so I can do it. So Collis is asking about money, which is fair enough. So Collis, if you were the chair of the startup business committee, and we had 1,000 enrollments, and you're getting an override of 100 each, it'd be $100,000 of override as being the commission chair. So the amount that the chair is paid is based upon the impact that we're having, right? That's how the grant is developed. We need to go out and have an impact. It's not just saying that we help Black-owned businesses. Talk is cheap. We need results. We need clients to get enrolled. We need clients to get funded. And that is the focus of these committees. All right. And yes, so again, not to confuse anyone, the front end process is the same. So there's no difference. Each of you have a website that we've provided for you for free. If you're an affiliate, if you're a white label partner, we can set up a website for you that would be set up with your terms and conditions. That's fine. So bringing the client in is the same. Now, again, you can make the pitch, but it's once the client comes in that then we're working with them to see if they fit any of these criteria. And if so, and that's our goal, is to, if you think about it, what percentage of small businesses would fit into at least one of these? Because they don't need to fit into multiple. They just need to fit into one. My goodness. Well, you know that half of society is male, half is female. So that's 50%. And you have a bunch of veterans and so forth. So the bottom line is most of our clients coming in going forward will probably qualify for the community engagement grant. Alfred's asking how long the grant is, and that's a great question, Alfred. Thank you. Right now, we're approved for 2023 for one year. Now, if we do well, we'll be able to apply for an extension. But at this point, it's for the upcoming year. All right, so that answered Collis's question. And again, some of these questions were just because I wasn't clear enough. So the front end is the same. We need to enroll clients off of the free websites, then they come in, and then we will work with them on placing them. So if you're an affiliate, you can promote this, but it doesn't change what you do. If you're a white label partner, it's a bit more complicated. You'll still need to get clients under contract. Once they're under contract, then we'll work with you to place your enrolled clients. We have a question of what about clients that are already enrolled? Well, the grant is set to start January 1st. I know it's a holiday, but it runs one calendar year. That's what we've been approved for. So, and again, we hope to extend it. So it starts January 1st and ends December 31st. So the client will need to have enrolled in that time period to qualify. So they'll enroll if you're an affiliate off of your free landing page. If you're a white label partner, you'll get them under contract. Once they're under contract, then we can proceed forward. With that being said, we do have the flexibility to pre-launch it 1 week earlier. So we are. So anyone that enrolls as of yesterday when we did the soft launch, so 12/26 going forward, technically what we're going to do is we're going to alter the start date to January 1st, but there's no reason for you to sandbag and hold back clients. If you want to start enrolling clients, you can. Anyone enrolled yesterday going forward, which is when we first announced it, will be able to participate. Gino asked about duties of the chairman. Well, at the most basic level, the chairman is going to help set the strategy for exposure out into the marketplace for the community engagement initiative. And then secondly, oversee the committee, which are the people that's working for him or her, of which, of course, they're getting overrides, so it's worthwhile. So we'll be setting goals and monitoring those goals, but it's not like some big laborious role. But you could certainly try being a chair if you wanted, Gino, and then step down if it's not a good fit. If you are anyone interested in being a chair, I'm getting a bunch of Zoom requests, but you just need to email in and let us know which of these that you would like to be the chair for. At this time, we want 11 different chairpersons. We don't want anyone running multiple committees. But again, remember, you're not prevented from enrolling clients at large, and then we will determine if they might fit into any of these. And most of our clients going forward will. Again, this is a really big deal, a really significant advancement, because what we know is a lot of these small businesses are not credible enough when they come in to get the funding that they want. And that's okay, right? We don't filter people on credit. We don't focus on time, filter on time in business. We take them as they are. But that doesn't change the fact that we need to take them from where they are to where they need to be to get approved. Let's take an example. With first tranche financing, sometimes clients will come in and they don't get the amount of first tranche financing that they want or had preferred. Well, that makes them an even better fit for our program. It's the opposite of being bad. It's like, well, you're not very credible right now for whatever reason. And that's not like a judgment. That's not negative. It's just saying you're not credible enough to reach your funding goals on your own. We're so glad you enrolled. Now we're going to work with you to get you from where you're at to where you need to be. And how does that happen? Typically, it's based upon making sure that they have a true commercial address. It's based upon making sure that they have a loan package. It's based upon making sure that they have the collateral to pledge for the loan. It's based upon making sure that they look credible in terms of credit and as well as capacity. So that's what you and I do. We take people that are not credible enough and work with them to get them credible enough. That's the secret sauce. So please, please, please don't go out and filter people. Oh, your credit's not good enough, you shouldn't enroll. or you've got a new business, you shouldn't enroll. Those are terrible things. That's what the rest of the world is doing to these small businesses. That's why we were selected for this community engagement grant. We were the only nonprofit selected in the whole state, in the whole country, in the whole world to do this, because our focus, your and my focus, is to take people from where they're at to get them to where they need to be. All right, so let's see if there's any other questions that have not already been addressed. Again, yeah, if anyone's interested in chairing any committees, you got to let us know outside of Zoom, so we have your request. And let's see, Vernon, last question, then we'll end. We're running along. Vernon asked, are affiliates excluded? No, not at all. So you can be an affiliate and be a participant. You can be an affiliate and enroll in the community engagement grant. That is not a problem. This is the 2023 period that this has been approved for. We can retro date it or back date it as early as December 26th. So anyone that enrolled yesterday, as of this recording, going forward through the end. So I know we have a few days left of 2022. Since we're already speaking of this, we didn't want to wait till January 1st and pop it on everyone. We have an exclusion that we can count them. Anyone that enrolls all through 2023 will be fine. Right now, this is set to end for clients that enroll on December 31st of next year. But our goal, of course, is to get an extension on the grant. What do we need to do to get an extension on the grant? We have to show outcomes. These committees need to be effective in enrolling small businesses, and then we need to be effective in working with these small businesses to get them at least $100,000. It's based upon outcomes. So that's why we want chair people that are focused on outcomes. Now, the great thing about the chair people is they're paid based upon outcomes. You're paid based upon the results of your committee. All right, well, I think we covered it. I apologize for running long. We'll get this recording posted up to the YouTube channel, which I hope you're familiar with, and we'll see you back tomorrow morning. But please, 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 if you would consider being one of the chairs, please email us and let us know which committee, which population-based initiative that you would consider leading. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. See you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.